This is an immensely important topic, and this is a topic that really a whole series of talks should be given on. To give really a greater perspective to both men and women, and a greater appreciation and a greater insight of this divine feminine principle. But with all things, when you say mother is the first guru, you have to, don't assume anything. Think deeply about the whole thing. So, mother, what is mother? So there should be a whole conceptual analysis of the nature of mother, what that is. Don't just say, oh, mom, mother, just like mom at home. Say mother as a concept, mother as a principle, not mother as just mom at home. Mom at home, yes, but also as a broad, pervasive principle in life. Mother is the first. So what is the first? As opposed to second, third. First has priority. First has absolute priority. It's not the second, it's not the 25th, it's not the 100th, it's not the 90th, it's the first. So when you say mother is the first guru, you're putting it at the pinnacle of being the top priority. And then guru, what is guru? Guru is teacher, but more than teacher, divinely inspired teacher. So if you say mother is the first guru, it's a huge conceptual idea where mother is a pervasive, nurturing principle. It is the first, meaning the most primary principle, and it's a divinely inspired principle. See? So when you say mother is the first guru, it's a massive statement. It's a huge statement. There should be no woman on the planet with an inferiority complex. If there is a complex that I'm not this or I'm not that, or it means they haven't studied the root principle of their own nature, which is a societal confusion, a societal blindness, a cultural blindness. The truth is, without women, there's no society. Without women, there's barbarism. That means the guys lead. See how we've mucked it up. How many wars? How many women were at the table when each of us said, let's go to war throughout the centuries? How many women were at the table? A whole bunch of guys. So that conquering nature is a very masculine nature, but a collective nature, a collaborative nature, a communicative nature, a nurturing nature is the women. It's absolutely the women. There is no society without women. There is barbarism, ignorance. So women have to become truly self-aware. That's why we're having this particular talk, because women, as well as men, are still in a sleeping consciousness. They're still asleep to the profound potency of in their inherent nature, not in their superficial intellectual nature, in their deep inherent nature. Each principle, the masculine principle and the feminine principle have deep significance and has its place in divine order. But the civilizing principle is the feminine, not the masculine principle. The truth is, every guru, whether he's in a man body or a woman body, every guru has a woman's heart. And that is a fact. That is an absolute fact. Regardless, he may look like a lion, but he's got a woman's heart. If he's a real guru. So he may even behave like a lion, but he has to have a woman's heart. The Divine Mother has to be hidden in his heart and being the primary impulse that motivates him. So in more ancient cultures, women were more primed and prepped for their fundamental role in society, which is to nurture and to cultivate. But as we've come up into this very modern society, there's far more fractioning, far more damage to the basic family structure. But if you go back in time, whether it's in ancient lands of India or ancient lands of Africa, even ancient European lands, there was a more tribal situation where you had grandmother, mother, daughter, all in community, all being the bearers of knowledge and could pass on their knowledge and their skill to the next generation. That's completely broken down right now. You know, before you had this a current of knowledge. You know, if you look at ancient societies, you know, the women would go out and collect the food. They also understood how to collect the herbs to keep people healthy. You know, without them, big trouble. But that was passed on from grandmother to daughter. That traditional basic knowledge of how to maintain society, how to weave a basket, how to start a fire, how to find food, how to find medicine. It was all the women. You know, even where to camp. It was the women. They had that knowledge. You know, how to bear a child, how to raise a child. It was all the women. See? The men get involved later. But that fundamental structural knowledge was held by the women. So in ancient Hindu society, the worship of women is inherent. And I say women, but I'm talking about the feminine principle, divine mother, cosmic principle. So you have what's called Devi Puja. Devi Puja. Devi means divine mother, the light of mother. And puja is worship. And in these pujas, you would have all types of mantras, 108 names of Divine Mother, 1,008 names of Divine Mother. These are extremely significant. Extremely significant. What those pujas did and what they do today is they invoke 108 energies of God as Mother, 1,008 energies as God as Mother. And each one of those energies is a realization of a potency that is inherent in the feminine condition. So you would have women saying 1,008 names of Divine Mother and thinking about each name and each potency. So don't you think that women as a society would be greatly empowered by saying that divine concept of Divine Mother, that there's 1,008 different illuminating energies, and that's part of my beingness? See, how can you have an inferiority complex when you realize inherently there's 1,008 beatitudes hidden within you, and that part of your life function was to contemplate those elements of beauty, those elements of wisdom, those elements of divine nature inherent in you. See? So these types of practices have to be brought back. That not only do you conceptually realize that there's 1,008 divine principles within you, but that you could intimately experience each and every one of those elements just by deep meditation and repetition of that particular Devi mantra. See, so you have, 1,008 names of Divine Mother. Lalita Sahasranam is what it's called. Lalita Sahasranam. 1,000 names. If this is where the wonder of the East can enrich the West, where women can start to see their place in the cosmic scheme. No being should just think, oh, I'm this little tiny, element lost in a sea of elements. You can say, okay, I am a drop of water within the cosmic sea. That's okay. So you have individualization, and you also have a cosmic expression. So your individualization is how you're manifesting those principles personally, creatively in this world, but that you're part of this cosmic sea of divine Shakti, divine energy. See? So the whole idea that how women see themselves has to be radically enhanced. That's part of the yoga. Yoga means to link the finite to the infinite. See? That's yoga, linking the finite to the infinite. So the feminine principle, we think, okay, I'm born, I'm a girl child. And then, okay, I have X amount of cultural history, X amount of family history. But what about your divine cosmic history? Who's teaching you that? See? That has to be ferreted out. It has to be looked at very deeply. It has to be practiced. In every house, at least once a month, there should be Devi Puja to remind the women of their inherent divine cosmic nature, and on the other side, to remind the men to be a little bit humble, because without the feminine principle, there is no guy, there is no male. The male principle can only stand because the female principle came first. It came first, at least in manifestation. It came first. So the males have to acquire an insight and a reverence for women. Until that happens, males as a collective group are semi-savages. I hate to put it so bluntly, but it's a fact. We're semi-savages. Until we can truly see the inherent great nature of women and to be reverential towards it, to have some sense of reverence for mother, for sister, for daughter, for a friend, a feminine, any feminine. That we see them in a greater context. It's not, oh, that girl over there, or that lady over there. That we see them in a greater context. It's that girl over there, that woman over there, who is part of the fundamental building blocks of society. The very ground we stand on wouldn't be stable without them. So that has to be learned. If it's not learned, we enter into union, males enter into union with women in an unstable, unperceptive dimension. So why is society rocking? When we don't realize what we have, when we don't appreciate what we have, when we don't know how to nurture what we have. Of course, society is going to be rocking. No stable ground. If the men are mission-based, if we give men the mission to make sure the ground beneath the women are stable, then society will be stable. But men need a mission. Okay? Most of the time our mission is ego-based, so we're out there creating mischief. Okay? But if we're more enlightened, part of the purpose of men would be to maintain stability for women, and then the woman's wisdom will grow. Then you'll have well-educated children, well-fed children, more communicative societies, more cooperative societies. See? Men need a positive mission. If men just lead, we'll have more separation in society. We'll have more combativeness as opposed to communicativeness in society. See? Men have a lot of good principles, but those principles have to be guided by wisdom. See? Men need a positive mission. If men don't have a mission, they're miserable. But those missions that men should embrace should be crafted by the women. They should be crafted by the women. The women should give the enlightened principles, and the men should fulfill them. See? This is sort of a revolutionary talk I'm giving.
When you say crafted by the women, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's generally men that go to war. Women will generally try to accommodate and try to communicate and try to nurture. So if you have two states, state A and state B, if men are leading, they'll say, well, we have the force, we can dominate and we can lead. But, and we'll have a very, very narrow spectrum in our vision. If you have state A and state B and the women have to make a decision, they will not only realize their society, but they will look over the fence and say there's another society there. And in that society, there's old men, there's old women, there's children. See? And they'll honor that. They will see the whole society next door. The men won't. The men will have a far more narrow vision. And they'll see, property, they'll see wealth, they'll see dominion. But they won't see the fundamentals of the society next to them. The women will. The women will say, if we go to war, how will that affect the old people? How will that affect the children? How will that affect the disabled? That will never come into the men's mind, how the society will be affected. Men will think about what they can extract from the society. The women will see what's inherently stable, nurturing, and good in society. See? Their vision is different than the men. Men are like miners. We just want to extract. See? That's why we've had imperialism throughout the world, because men were leading. We're extracting from this society, extracting from that society. We're taking what we can. And we don't care about the fundamentals of the society. Women do. So That's why women should be at the table. Whether it's in the UN, or it's in the court system, or it's in the political bodies, women, until women are at the table, we are not a civilized society. We just simply are not. See? So these principles of the divine feminine have to be truly realized. It has to be first realized in terms of self-remembrance in women, and then it has to be that knowledge has to be transferred to men. See, to honor women, to respect them. See, not greater, not lesser, but a great cosmic divine potency that should be honored and respected. See, then we have a deeper perspective. See, when you can look at women as just the other, and not look at them as a significant divine principle of which nothing else would exist without it. See, can you see how their status changes and how their nature changes when we realize the significance of their embodiment, what they are, that they're a micro manifestation of a cosmic principle. So this as above, so below, we have to realize that even though we're tiny human beings, each human being is part of the cosmos, part of a cosmic expression. But if we look at a human being as just a tiny isolated element, then it's very easy to abuse them, because then we can take our ego and our arrogance and superimpose upon them and not realize their true significance. If we think something is insignificant, isn't it easy to abuse it? But if we're trained from children that there's an embodiment of 1,008 divine significant principles, not one or two, 1,008, don't you think we now can no longer consider the feminine as insignificant? See, we should learn that from childhood. See, and if in each house a monthly puja was done, reminding everybody in the family and in society of the divine inherent nature in women, we'd have a different society. Now it's up to the women to realize what they are. It's up to women to realize their divine inheritance that they have. See, every woman, just like every man, is at a different evolutionary stage. But it should be the challenge of each feminine being to realize their intimate nature. Every man and every woman should be practicing yoga in some form. So if the woman is thinking 1,008 divine principles are inherent in me, bit by bit, she's growing in her own level of self-knowledge. So every woman should be practicing some form of yoga. It should be from the earliest days to their last breath. They should be practicing yoga. Yoga is a means of conscious, enhanced, deliberative evolution, personal evolution. That's what yoga is. It's a conscious means to enhance your evolution. Not slow, plodding, nature moving at the slowest snail pace. But because we're inherent in us is a divine Shakti, tremendous energy, we can enhance that evolution. We can make it move like a rocket ship instead of like a snail. See, that ability is inherent in the human condition. That's what yoga is to move us along. But we can go by slow, natural forces, or we can be enhanced by using all the psychic gifts that we have to rapidly enhance. It's just like in the beginning, the way we started fires is by banging two rocks together. So that was a very elementary form of creating fire. Now we have nuclear plants and all forms of other energies that we can cleverly manifest that will give far more energy than banging two rocks together and getting a couple of sparks. See? So this yoga of feminine awareness, feminine enlightenment must be there. It must be there for the planet. And as they become more empowered, more self-aware, that will wash over society. All of a sudden, male, female, and the natural creature, not natural environment will be. Why do they call the earth Gaia? Why do they say Mother Earth? See? The very earth beneath your feet they're calling Mother. See? How dim are we? The very earth beneath our feet we're calling Mother. Don't you think that's significant? The very thing that allows you to be is called Mother. See? It's only our forgetfulness that allows us to walk the earth with arrogance or pride. That's why they say in the Native American, walk gently. Walk gently. It means walk respectfully, lovingly, kindly. The very support beneath your feet, you should be kind towards. You should be respectful for. You should be remembrance its potency. It gives you everything. See? So, as societies, we're still, let's say planetary society, we're still rather primitive. But all the teachings are there, are inherent in the planet. So it's a matter of self-awareness has to happen so that true civilization can have. Right now, we're sort of like tamasic or rajasic civilization. Tamasic means crude. Rajasic means mixed. Later on, sattvic, meaning pure civilization, where there's a clear insight into the inherent nature of what's before you. See? So we're still pretty low. So this self-awareness has to come, and then that self-awareness is shared amongst the men, and then civilization, true civilization, can become acquired. Going further, because the women are the ones who bring life into the world, they cannot be forgetful of their immense responsibility. There's a whole yoga for women that has not been taught yet in this culture. It's actually truly heartbreaking. But that's one of the purposes of this talk, is to start to introduce that topic. In terms of women's self-awareness, the very preparation for the process of bringing life, birthing children, educating children, how the women maintain themselves is immensely important. Of course, women should think, okay, you should break things down just to make it easy. How do I nurture my body? You can close it, that's fine. You can push it closed. How do I nurture my body when I'm going to bring life forth? How do I nurture my heart when I'm going to bring life forth? How do I nurture my mind when I'm going to bring life forth? That process has to start before pregnancy. So the women have to correctly evaluate themselves. Am I living a healthy, nurturing life now? This is pre-pregnancy. What is the condition of my heart now? Is there harmony or is there turmoil? What is the nature of my mental stream now? How much junk is in it, or how much things that are valuable in it? Like if you want to say what's in my mental stream right now, go look at your bookshelf and see what's in your mental stream. Write down the primary programs that you watch on television, or the primary programs you listen to on the radio. That'll tell you what's going on in your mental stream. And then evaluate it. Be really honest. Say, the principles in this book, is that really what I want to pass on? Is that really of value to society, or is that just a personal titillation? See? Or is it truly nutritive and functional for society? I mean, we all have lots of guilty pleasures, like we eat candy. We know it's not good for us, but we're eating quite a bit, too much. Same thing with the books that we read. Sometimes we know it's a trash novel, but we enjoy it. But in your the point is not to say good or bad. The point is to make evaluations of what is the nature of your physical health, what is the nature of your emotional health, what is the nature of your psychic health, and are you providing things for yourself that are truly healthy. So you have to become self-aware to say what is the value of these things. Because in life, you can only give what you got. See? And if you've got a bunch of rubbish in your physical stream, in your emotional stream, in your psychic stream, when you bring life forth, you can only give what you got. See? So if there's all forms of pollution in those three streams of life, well, that's what you're going to be giving that child. But the thing is not to make a judgment. The thing is for women to become self-aware. So in my physical stream, what am I giving that child? In my emotional stream, what am I giving that child? In my mental stream, what am I giving that child? Because women have a high destiny. They're endowed with 1008 divine principles. Now, with all those divine principles that are inherent in the feminine condition, how are they manifesting through the physical stream? How are they manifesting through the emotional stream? How are they manifesting through the psychic stream? See, this is the lost yoga. See? Those divine principles, women have to be involved in a living contemplation to say, how do these energies manifest through the physical stream, the emotional stream, and the mental stream? Right now, it's a lost science. It's hidden there amongst the hearts of the masters and the saints. But this is a science that is supposed to be pervasive. It's supposed to be the body of wisdom that women carry. See? But you don't see that. Women are living individual, self-expressive lives. Nothing the matter with that. But what is a problem is that self-individualized expressive life has lost its connection to the infinite cosmic reality. That's the yoga part. The human part is the individual finite. The yoga part is to have that finite connected to the cosmic infinite. See? They're part of the sea of divine wisdom. When that's severed, it's like not having your ancestral knowledge passed along to you. Aren't you poor if the knowledge of your mother, the knowledge of your grandmother, the knowledge of your great-grandmother haven't been passed forth to you? Haven't you lost a treasure? This is the same thing. There's a divine treasure that is inherent for women. When they lose connection to that, they are bereft. It's a big problem, which means they no longer have the power to advise the male principle because they've lost their divine inheritance. If they've lost their inheritance, what do they have to give? Nothing. They have, common, small consciousness to give, full of confusion and fear. Look at the world. Look at the world. Look at the wars. Look at the famine. Look at the disease. If you lose that divine inheritance, what did you have to give? See? So women have to become self-aware and reclaim their divine inheritance. With their divine inheritance, because they are the ones who are raising the children and the males, they can properly advise them. They can give them appropriate missions. Men are mission-based. They want to go out and fix something. See? When women have this feminine yoga, they can now advise their sons as to what to do, and their daughters how to maintain creation. See? So huge, 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 huge. So women have to start to find this deep Shakti, this deep Devi psychology. You can call it Devi psychology. See? The psychology of Divine Mother, the divine principles of Divine Mother, so that becomes part of their living inquiry into life. And in that living inquiry, be generating something sublimely nutritive to humanity. See? Huge, 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 huge. We're still a lost society. We're still a lost civilization. You know, the only reason we're not extinguished is because the divine principle is still quietly slipping through the women and pressing out into humanity. You know, it's a seed that can't be extinguished, but that seed can be magnified. See? So women have to start to learn how to become self-empowered in a non-hostile way. See, if you say self-empowered to men, we want to go out and conquer something. You know? you know? You know, if you say self-empowered to women, you know, a garden's going to grow. So, very different kind of self-empowerment. You know? So, this Devi psychology, this Devi yoga, that's another way, that's an even better way to say it, a Devi yoga, must be reclaimed by women so that their inherent divine potency can be passed into the new generations. How to raise the children, even the very food that the women eat when they're pregnant, immensely important. The music that they listen to, immensely important. The books that they read during pregnancy, immensely important. Not only is it important in their own psychic enrichment, but the subtle imprints are happening on that fetus. They don't realize that. Just like you're passing along your genetic structure to that fetus, you're also passing along a part of your psychic structure. So if you're reading, you know, murder novels or romance novels, don't you think the vibrational psychic vibration of that is along? Whatever you eat, that child eats. If you're ingesting something psychically, they're ingesting it psychically. If you're ingesting it physically, they're ingesting it physically. Women have to understand that. They think, oh, well, I'm pregnant, and then they psychically think of their independent life as if when they were a young woman running around, and not realizing that everything that they do, everything they feel, everything that they eat, everything that they think is creating a psychic impression, part of the disposition of that child. Is the child coming up with their own disposition? Yes, they're born with that. But is there a complementary disposition being passed on to the child? Absolutely. Absolutely. Your strengths and your fears are quietly in seed form being passed along to the child. And until the mother realizes that, she can't take any precautionary behavior. So women must understand whatever they ingest becomes a complementary energy, a supplementary energy that is being imprinted on the child. It will be part of their subconscious stream, and it will affect them. See? So that kind of self-awareness has to be born amongst women. That the moment pregnancy occurs, your self-definition has to be expanded. You can't say, I am me, I just happen to be pregnant. Get over that, ladies. Get over that. That's a highly unenlightened point of view. You have to start to say, what is the new me based on my new responsibilities? You can't say the old me, who might have been a happy partying girl, not good, not bad, but just out there living. But when your responsibilities change, you better change. You better keep up with your responsibilities. See? So the moment you're pregnant, old you, no problem. But new responsibilities means new obligations. Those obligations mean intelligent actions have to be taken based on the current condition, not based on your past. I saw a pregnant lady in a line just the other day, and she had a very strong personality, and it was almost, and she had a big belly, and it's almost as if she was living independent of her pregnancy. She was the same old, but also pregnant, as opposed to not being a little bit more reflective, saying, what are my new responsibilities? You know, many women want to be the same person they were pre-pregnancy. That's not really realistic. You don't have to abandon yourself, but you do have to enhance yourself based on your new responsibilities. So there has to be a deeper awareness of the new life, what you're growing into. Life should not be static. You shouldn't want to be 20 years old when you're 30, when you're 40, when you're 50. I saw a woman who was 60 some odd years old the other day, dressing like a 24-year-old. There's a problem there. There's a problem there. She doesn't see the beauty of 30, the beauty of 40, the beauty of 50, the beauty of 60, the beauty of 70. See, she's locked into the past. See, that's inherent problem. If water doesn't move, it becomes stagnant. Then it becomes foul. No longer can you drink it. The stream of life, it's got to move, and you've got to appreciate every step along the way. So, with women, and I'm not. This is not just women or men, but because we're talking about Devi, I'm talking about women tonight, not men. Some other day we'll talk about the fellas and their principle and their important nature. So, this enlightened feminine yoga, Devi yoga, where that women are conscious of the stream of life, the responsibility of life, and the constant broadening nature. As they understand more and more those 1008 divine principles, their life is becoming broader. They're becoming psychically more stable. So let's say, is a pinpoint stable as opposed to a big plaza or a big mesa? Which is more stable? The broader surface is more stable. See, a pinprick you could push over. A large mesa, hard to move. See, so as women understand deeper and deeper these 1008 principles, they become more and more stable. The less they are aware of the divine inherent principles, the more unstable. See? So this Devi yoga that has to be studied by women, they become fuller, broader, deeper, more stable, more wisdom-based, more cosmic-based. See? And then when some ignorant fellow says this or that, you are this. When some ignorant fellow tries to define the woman, please, the woman can say, with the entire kingdom backing her, I am this, I am this, I am this. All of these grand, divine, powerful principles. So some ignorant fellow trying to define the woman, You know, she realizes, you shameful fool. You have no idea what you're saying. See? As opposed to, oh, maybe he's right, maybe this, maybe that, you know, it's the ignorant woman who's the fearful woman. But the woman who looks at all these divine energies, the divine Shaktis, she's not fearful. She fears nothing. Nothing. And she has profound stability. She has profound insight. So what ignorant little male ego can define that? There's no man that can define that. See? So there's that profound self-empowerment that cannot be defined by some ignorant, paltry, masculine ego. See? See where they stand when they have self-awareness? See? Nothing can move them. They're the cosmos themselves. When they look out into all the stars, they can say, I am that, and mean it. See? So with that kind of empowerment, what they bring to the society? What kind of culture can they bring to the masculine condition? See? Now they're lions of the cosmos, as opposed to the paltry little egos, you know, lost in a sea of unknowing. See? There's a divine 1,008 principles that they're meant to know, see? That are what they are in nature fundamentally. See? So this Devi Yoga has to be taught. That is the destiny of the feminine principle that has to be brought into society. So, as they learn those principles, you will see it manifesting through how the earth is treated, the foods that are brought from the earth, how the animals are treated, how nature itself is treated. So first they'll start with their own body. How do I treat my own physical welfare? But that will soon manifest in how do we treat the physical welfare of the planet itself, of the earth itself, of the plants itself, of the animals itself. That same compassion and wisdom that they'll bring to their own inherent physicality will be manifested in the earth. See? That Gaia principle will be coming broader, stronger, more aware. And their emotional stability. Because they're now have the quality to self-reflect on how to use their emotions. Those 1,008 principles will talk about how to manipulate, how to manifest pure divine emotion. See, emotion is the base. Emotion, when it's cultivated, becomes devotion. See? The highest expression of emotion is devotion. And then that devotion will eventually move to the cosmic sublime. See? Not just the mundane, but the cosmic sublime. See? Then their intellectual facility. Women will learn to self-identify themselves completely differently. Completely differently. How they see themselves. What am I? See, that'll be, again, in this Devi Yoga. What am I? Most women are lost and confused in saying, what am I? Well, my mother said this, my boyfriend said that, society said this, you know. But what about all the divine rishis, the great women saints, and the men saints? They're all feminine. But there's many, many embodied women saints that should be asked. Part of Devi Yoga is to study every woman saint you can get your hands on and see how they manifest these principles in the world. See? So that you have living models of this self-awareness, self-expression, self-realization has to be brought forth. Now, if I go and pull the next 100 women that walk past the door and ask them, how many women saints have you looked at? Or name me a few women saints. You'll hear a whole lot of stammering. You know? You'll hear a whole lot of silence because they haven't looked into it. The most powerful figures of their gender, the most enlightened figures of their gender, they haven't looked into. See, there's a deficit now. There's that disconnection between the finite and the cosmic. See, it's the job of yoga to create that link between the finite and the infinite, so that the finite is informed by the infinite, and the finite is informed by the infinite, and that finite can venture into the infinite. See? Not just be a little tiny pinprick, but be a cosmic mesa. See? That's the journey of the feminine. See? The journey of the feminine. To manifest the deepest sense of true love in all elements of life is part of the feminine destiny. True love. Can you tell me any element of society that doesn't want to be loved? Can you tell me any element of a society that doesn't want to be loved? See? That's women. That's the destiny of women, to make that inherent principle full, true, pure, sublime, and hand it off to creation. Not just to humans, to creation. See? So, massive destiny in sort of Devi yoga. Massive destiny. But again, it has to be brought to the table. People have to ask the question, what is this Devi yoga? How does it manifest in my body? How does it manifest in my heart? How does it manifest in my mind? See, if you don't ask the questions, you never find the solutions. See? The questions must first be asked. You know, somebody sat on a shore and said, well, how do I get to the other side? You're never going to get to the other side until you ask the question, how do I get to the other side? See? What's on the other side of the mountain? You'll never go there until you ask the question. You'll stay exactly where you are. So everything starts with an important question. So in this society, women have to start asking very important questions, but big questions, not small questions. Ask the biggest questions you can conceptualize and start from there and say, okay, has anybody manifested an answer to that question? And then you go on the quest to find those expressions or those elements in the feminine body who have realized that body of knowledge. And they're there. The only reason you don't know they're there is because you simply haven't looked. But they are definitely there. And they're there east and west. They're there everywhere. You just have to start to look for them. But until you ask the question, you'll never find a solution. See? So this Devi yoga has to be brought out into society, where women can name off 10 or 12 feminine saints and say what was their Shakti, what was their energy, and how did they do it? And what's that mean to me? And how can I realize that in myself? And in realizing that in myself, how can I bring it to the table? How can I bring it to society? And first in society, how can I bring it to my family? See? So women are responsible for culture. They really are. No women, no culture. No women, no civilization. Suppress women, corrupt civilization. The more you suppress them, the more there will be corruption. The more there will be greed. The more there will be war. See? Liberate them, greater peace, greater insight, greater communication. True culture, true arts will grow. See? All the principles are come out of the feminine principle. Whether it's drawing, whether it's dance, whether it's music, whether it's sculpture, I don't care what art you're talking about, it's all rooted in the feminine condition. It's every bit of it is rooted in the feminine condition. Every bit of it is. See? It's not men, it's the women. It's their energy that creates it. So, anyway, I thought I would bring this topic up. Is there any thoughts that you may have, any questions that you may have that I'm solely bringing this Devi Yoga to the table?
How does somebody find out more about the 1008 names of the Divine Feminine that you refer to?
Lalita Sahasranama. There's many books. I have probably 4 or 5 copies right over here, right behind this wall. And just start to read it. But read it not as like an academic, read it as a living principle. And take a working theory saying, these are all living principles. And then say, well, then you go on this quest to see those principles in the world. See? And then, over time, to see those principles in myself. Because when you first start reading these great principles, when you think about yourself, you're going to be saying, no way. Because you're thinking about yourself in a very stinted, small way. But if you can start and say, well, let me see that principle in nature, then you'll start to get some clue that it does exist. And then if you can see it in nature, over time, you can find it in yourself. Because most human beings are looking at themselves in a very suppressed, very regressive way. Very small. We're seeing the peanut in us. We're not seeing the vast, divine endowment that's been given us. If we are the children of the Creator itself, of creation itself, don't you think we have a vast endowment? What are the yogis discovering? The yogis are discovering their native spiritual endowment, which is infinite potentiality. But because we're looking at things from a very small, tiny, egoic point of view, we've forgotten our immense divine inheritance. Immense inheritance. So when the yogi practices, what is he acquiring? He or she acquiring self-realization. They're realizing what their inherent endowment is, what their inheritance from the kingdom is what they're realizing. They're realizing what they fundamentally are. They were thinking themselves paupers when they're children of the kingdom itself. The infinite reality is part of their endowment. See? So, each woman has to know about the body of saints. Know, even on a very physical way, listening to the stories of your mother, listening to the stories of your grandmother, listening to stories of your great-grandmother, of their experience through time. See? That's in a very fundamental way, but very important. Very, very important. To honor the strength. One of my, just on a personal level, one of my personal greatest experiences was hanging out with my grandmother. Sometimes she'd take a nap in the afternoon. There's a big queen-size bed. I'd lie down with her, and I'd ask her 10,000 questions about what she was doing when she was young. It was wonderful. I mean, I heard, 50, 60 years of her transiting through the world and her body of experiences. It was just wonderful stories and wonderful history. It was very enriching just to hear her life as she went through time. And she was one of these people with a fantastic memory. I mean, she could say in 1934 it was a Thursday, and so-and-so came over to the house. I mean, she had that kind of memory where she could remember what she was doing on any particular day. I have nothing like that. I mean, I'm the complete opposite. but it was really fun. It was, I mean, you felt like you were there. You know, she'd say, oh, we had the bicycles right, you know, down on the curb by the door. And we never had to lock a bicycle. No one ever thought to lock the bicycles. You know, you hear this wonderful history, and the front door was never locked. We never thought about that. So that history, those stories are empowering to next generations. To hear that you come from this flow of memory, this flow of experience. You know, it's wonderful. One of the it'll be in my heart forever. The wonderful stories, and just being present with her. It wasn't just the stories; it was the loving nature that was just inherent. See, that's one of the great hidden strengths that I have. These flowing conversations with my grandmother when she was taking her naps. She's like 1 o'clock or so, she'd rest. And I took the opportunity to rest with her and listen, ask her all these questions. So that's just on one level, and it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. To find these flows of power, flows of strength, flows of compassion that are there, but you have to ask the questions, see, so that you can be enriched by the answers and be enriched by the journey, enriched by the experience. See? So this kind of a Devi yoga has to really be fostered for true self-awareness to occur. And then that self-awareness will be self-enrichment to society as a whole. See? So this divine self-remembrance. Seeing that we're in specialized bodies, boy body, girl body. So there's an inheritance in the masculine tradition of a particular type of wisdom, particular type of action. There's an equal inheritance in the feminine body, a particular type of wisdom, a particular type of action. And those two principles work together. One gives the wisdom of the mission. The other is the action to fulfill the mission. See? So they're supportive. One dreams the view, the other builds it. But one is the advisor crafting it, and the other is the laborer building it. See? They work together. It's like nouns and verbs and such. So these are the kinds of things that we have, as yogis, we have to think about. Because in the yoga, yoga honors all life. When you say Om, you know what that means? All this is God. All this is God. Om is creation itself, the essence of creation, which is God. See? But that principle of Om will more potently manifest through the feminine principle, because they are primarily the nurturers and the holders of creation. See? It'll manifest to them more visibly. It's universal, but it's visible manifestation, feminine principle. See? So, does anyone have any questions about this kind of divine? Mother is the first guru. She leads in truth. She's the power behind the throne. The guy may be sitting on the throne, but the one who informed them on how to wield power in a loving, kind, thoughtful, nutritive way was the feminine. I mean, I have so many subsections of things to talk about in this topic. There's a lot. I mean, there's books in my head of this topic. But each one is sort of a grand volume. So I don't know which chapter to talk about in a way, because it's huge. It's huge in terms of even just like getting down to the practical sadhanas for the women. So maybe in the future we'll talk about those, because there's particular pranayams, they do particular dietetics for different phases, whether they're in pregnancy or normal life, or when the woman is having her period. There's different sadhanas or different spiritual practices and dietetics and prayers and mantras for all those different things, so that women can maintain a balanced, harmonious state regardless of their condition. There's many different pranayams for women and many different mental contemplations for different points in their life. Or when different phenomena, like birth is a phenomena, having your menstrual cycle is a phenomena. But there's dietetics, there's pranayams, and contemplations for all of those different conditions that maintain a balance and a wisdom, inherent wisdom. So over time, we'll talk about these things, and over time I should try to start writing a lot of this down, because there's a big voluminous body of knowledge of which the average woman is not aware of. They don't realize that this tomb of knowledge is there, and it would be of great value to them that they can embrace this Devi Yoga. It'll be good for everybody, but it's not taught here. It's not taught here. There's there's a wonderful series of practices when women are pregnant, so that they have much better physical health and much easier deliveries. There's a lot out there, but that knowledge has to be transferred intelligently to the West in a way the West can understand it, so that women can access these things. So bit by bit, maybe we'll start that. Trying to get that Devi. There are a few women yogis in this country who are trying to put this out, but they're not that well known.
I think there's also like Tarkan Tolka, who has some books on yoga for women in pregnancy, kind of geared toward the physical.
Yeah. It's out there. It's just very dispersed, And women first have to know the topic is there, that there is a Devi Yoga, and then they have to find the people who are discussing that topic so that they can become informed and make their transit through life far easier and far more wisdom-based. More wisdom-based.
What was that name again?
I think it's Tarkan Tolka.
Tibetan, one of the Tibetan teachers. But there's both, Tibetan yogis and Hindu yogis who have that body of knowledge, who are slowly putting this information out. But that kind of yoga has not reached the consciousness of, it hasn't reached mass consciousness yet, and it has to. It has to at some time. We will have a better civilization as that yoga reaches the body, the larger body of humanity. It should be taught from mother to daughter. It should be taught in school also. You can teach it without being religious. You can teach it in secular scientific terms also. It's possible. So any other questions, thoughts? This might be a short talk. Part of it, my mind is a little confused because I'm looking at such a voluminous subject, and any one of those subjects is not a day's talk. It's weeks, months talk on just any one topic. So it's a little overwhelming in my mind. There's more than my small mouth can get out in this little tiny time. That's the problem.
Well, you mentioned one way of talking to your grandmother, mother, to understand their
The transit through the worlds.
Is there another way you recommend for somebody starting on this journey?
You mean a man or a woman?
A woman.
Well, the easiest way, it might not be, let's say a way, is just to start saying, where are there significant saintly women? You can call them formally saints or saintly, you know, and start to look at them as a living model. You know, what were the principles that propelled their life? What were the qualities that supported those principles? You can have a principle, a high principle, but not have the strength to fulfill it. But if you look at great women, they not only have a great principle in their mind, they also have the strength and the courage to fulfill it. You know, sojourner of truth. You know, if you look at the Black Americans, the women, full of wisdom, full of strength. You know, but they not only had a big idea, they had the courage to fulfill it. You know, and you'll find it in every culture. You'll find it in every culture. That these women have great ideas, liberating ideas, and they have the strength to fulfill it. See? So you need the principle and the Shakti also, and the energy to do it. You know, there's a woman yogi from the 50s, 60s called Peace Pilgrim, who extraordinary woman, an Anglo woman, where she started to have deeper feelings towards God, and decided to wander all 50 states, all the contiguous states of the Union. And she was doing this in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, not asking for food unless it was offered, not asking for a ride, you know, transport, unless it was offered. And she walked all the states of the Union by herself, just in a prayerful state. She lived, her life was persistent prayer and a message of human goodwill. And she walked every state in the Union by herself in the 40s, 50s, like that. Can you imagine the strength of this woman? You know, the spiritual insight and the tremendous courage. You know, she's a model. She's a model for any being. She's called Peace Pilgrim. You can get her books. Some people put a bunch of her sayings together and her biography. You can get it through the bookstores. Extraordinary, extraordinary. But people have to know that there are such spiritually propelled women. See? So women have to seek out these women of strength and of a spiritual significance. There's a lot of people, women of strength, you know, athletes and things like that. That's good, but of a lower order. I'm talking about the people who change society in terms of making society more civilized, more kind, more divinely endowed. Someone like Peace Pilgrim, you know, or that Vietnamese nun who wrote the book Learning True Love. I forgot her name.
Pure emptiness?
No.
Translation.
Oh, yeah, I forgot the, do you remember her?
That's emptiness, right? It's true emptiness.
Yeah, but no, what's her, do you recall her name?
Her name?
Yeah,
Chiang Ka?
C-H-A-U or something like that?
Ka was her last name.
Yeah.
Kang Fu.
Yeah.
I also have my first name too.
Yeah, she's a Vietnamese nun who had, she was first a social worker, but tremendous spiritual endowment and tremendous courage. And her book is named Learning True Love. Everybody should read it, but every woman should read it. Because she walked around doing divine social service in the middle of the Vietnam War when she could have been killed at any moment from either side. But she had a constant divine remembrance, constant meditative practice, and constant sense of social service. So extraordinary woman, extraordinary. And I understand she's still alive. So she's our contemporary. So you have to find these models, and then you have to see the model there, and then find the model here. See, because if it's there, it's also here. So that's, in answering your question, women have to find these models, you know. And the easy way is first do biography, you know, an autobiography, and then slowly to find the yogis who can start to teach them the various sadhanas, the various spiritual practices, so that they can come to a greater sense of self-awareness. See, inherent in self-awareness is self-empowerment. See, but the more you're disenfranchised from your cosmic endowment, your sanctified endowment, the more small and confused you are here. So we have to not only get our hereditary knowledge, but also our divine endowment of knowledge. It has to come to each individual. So society will be better in every way. Each human being will be fuller in every way. See? Any other thoughts, questions, curiosities?
If you're, you know, like you said, to learn more about the different attributes that are
Yeah.
in you, how do you then interact with your close circle, who I can foresee are going to reject the new changes?
Well, of course. Think about this. Anyone who climbs a great mountain, how many are going to go up there with you? Most people stay down in the valley. Only few climb to the top of the mountains. So you have to understand, if you have that vision, you are a minority. Most people want to be down in the valley where the river is running and the grass is thick. Not up on some craggy peak where they have a grand vista of humanity and of that grand sanctity above. See? So you have to understand the nature of the journey. That though you love everyone in the valley, likely they're not coming along. It's not their time. So you have to understand, if you have that fire in your belly, it's your time. See? It's not their time. You're on God's clock at this point. And when God calls, He's calling this individual soul, and that individual soul, and this individual soul. But, so we all have our own unique time for this sanctified journey. But we can always, as we make our journey, send love letters back to the people in the valley. Oh, this is something I learned. It might be useful. Oh, this is something else I've seen. It might be useful. See? They can't take the whole journey yet. But you can send quiet love letters back, dropping seeds for them. It's just not their time, but we can leave seeds for them, you know, to slowly spark their interest. A lot of people are content living disempowered, you know, living disassociated. See? We have to first say that, wait a minute, if I'm part of creation, and that reality is the author of creation, that means I'm part of that, which means I have an inheritance. See? I'm not that far from that. That has given me a great endowment. Now what's the endowment? What's my inheritance? When you ask that question, you start the quest. See? You start the quest. But not everybody's going to ask that question. See? Until you ask the question, you can't find the solution. Ask the question, it's just a matter of time before you find the solution. That's the divine angst. So you have to remember, you know, everybody doesn't come along. But when anyone takes this sanctified journey, they have a spiritual legacy. See? And that spiritual legacy will slowly nurture people and bring them along. See? So we have to find models. study those models, and then find the science behind the model. How did they do it? And be ruthlessly practical. See? Don't be airy-fairy. Be ruthlessly practical. How did they do it? There is a science behind it. You know? You seek and you will find. That's a fact. You know? If you say maybe, it's not going to happen. Say there is an answer. And then you search. You'll find it. See? But you have to take yourself seriously in a humble way. But you have to take yourself seriously. You know, if you say, I'm a prince of the kingdom, well, where's my wealth? See? If I'm a child of the kingdom, that means I have an inheritance. Well, where's my wealth? I want to know exactly what is part of my inheritance. So you have to make that journey to find it. You know? And the saints are the voices. The saints are another love letter from the kingdom. Their words, their prayers, their sermons, are all love letters from the kingdom. They're all love letters and loving guidance. See? So take them seriously. Take them deadly seriously. And apply it. You know? Don't say, oh, they're so high. No, well, how did they get high? They climbed there like everybody else. They didn't just happen. You know, they started out in the mud, and then they landed up in heaven. So, what about you? Just because our feet are starting in the mud doesn't mean we can't climb to the highest cliffs of sanctity. It's just directive and effort. Where are you directed? And what level of effort you're going to put into it. See? So that's the thing. We have to know what we want, and then we have to work for it. If you want a fancy car, you know what you want, and you go work for it. You get your car. Well, you know, if you want the heart and the mind of the saints and masters, well, you know what you want. Work for it. It'll come. It'll come. You know, what did Jesus see when he looked out in the world? If you want to know, do the work. What did Buddha see or Krishna see when he looked out into the world? It's definitely possible. Do the work. So it's knowing what you want. What is Krishna's realization? What's Buddha's realization? What's Jesus' realization? What did they realize in their hearts and minds? And then do the work for that same realization. Because they came as models, not as unique specimens, but as models of what's possible. See? You can do it. You can do it. There's always saints, there's always masters in the world. Seek them out. Find the science and apply yourself. You can acquire that knowledge. So that's the thing. But but for any kind of grand journey, you have to understand that most people are not going to come along. The first people who traveled across the oceans, 99% of the population is standing on the shore. Only a small boatload of souls got into the boat. See? That's how it is. When you watch a football game, you've got tens of thousands of people in the stadium and a small group of individuals on the field. See? So where are you? In the stadium or on the field? That's your choice. It's your choice. So, that's our human condition. You have to make the choice to be on the field. See? As opposed to in the stadium or on the shore.